Hello YouTube, welcome back to WikiNative TV. I'd like to say a special thanks to my 4 followers for sticking by me. I want to talk about COI disclosure, conflict of interest disclosure, and just give my thoughts on that topic. For any of you who've read my blogs, I don't advise that subjects on Wikipedia disclose their conflict of interest. I have tried white hat editing before. The volunteers on Wikipedia, they do not want to work with businesses. They're volunteers, so why would they do your job for you? It's wishful thinking. I know there's white hat companies out there who say, oh yes, the Wikipedia's community are open to dialogue with paid editors and the PR community. No, they're not. Don't be so ridiculous. So, without further ado, here is the COI guideline. First of all, there's no ban on editing with a conflict of interest. You will just strongly discourage from editing with a conflict of interest. You're only going to find out if you have a conflict of interest if you tell them in some way, either by declaring your conflict of interest on the talk page, posting your project all over job boards like Upwork, lots of paid editors, telling them what your plans are. At some point that's probably going to fall into the hands of the Wikipedia is corrupt as hell. They like to present like an image that everything, the whole thing is just Here's another COI editing thing. You should disclose your COI with afflicted articles. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing that. If you disclose a COI, you're basically asking to be regulated, asking to be moderated. My advice to my clients is to self-moderate. You don't need to know every single content policy, but just knowing the 3 core content policies, writing from a neutral point of view, making sure your work's verifiable, including any original research. Subjects are allowed to make small edits to their pages. Like, you're totally allowed to do that. If your company's got a new CEO and it's out on the press release, you're allowed to update your info box. What happens is make like one change, get away with it, and then you push the boat out a bit more. And before you know it, you uploaded some native advertising and breached lots of rules. Okay, so I think that's enough about what I'd like to do now. Is let's take a look at a few live edit requests on Wikipedia, just so you can see how declared COI editing doesn't really work in practice. So if I go cat, I think it is COIREQ. Okay, right. Let's have a little look. These are live COI edit requests. I refer to subjects. I'm usually referring to either a company or a living person. So let's have a look. These are all of the pending COI edit requests on Wikipedia at the moment. These highlighted in green, some of them are highlighted in red. For example, Lewis Hamilton, his page is currently semi-protected. You quite often see that with politicians. It doesn't mean that nobody can edit those pages. Usually just need like 10 edits. Account that's over 3 days old to edit. Actually, this might be the highest then. Semi-protect, no, I think that's just 10 edits. There's a lot of just like chat. Oh, here we go, here's the edit request. It's a funny one. Okay. 8 times world champion. I don't think he's won it 8 times, actually. I think it's worth saying that I don't think that's from Lewis Hamilton himself. It's not like he's driving around a racetrack and also making edit requests on Wikipedia. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that goes on the back end of this. Is one of the more popular pages where people do actually swing by and get involved on the talk pages. Usually talk pages are pretty quiet places. Not a lot really goes on. Given that there's 60 million Wikipedia pages. Say on English Wikipedia, there's like 60 million pages. They've only got maybe 1,000 volunteers. You can kind of see how most COI declared edit requests are going to go unpicked up, or they're just not going to really get the time of day for volunteers. There's so many to choose from. Just Alex Munter. I assume he wants to change his name. I shouldn't say that's harsh. Munter. Former Canadian politician and business owner. Let's have a look at the talk page. So, where does the COI edit request start? Major suggested updates to listings. So they've put in a COI, they've messed up the COI template. They haven't closed their template yet, though. Conflict of interest has requested assistance with making addition to this article. And then we've got a consultant there. And what you can see is this conversation goes on and on and on, back and forth, years and years, with actually very little in results, actual, like, tangible on wiki results for this subject. I mean, fair play to him. Somebody get this man a Blue Peter badge. Wikipedia's subjects try to play by the rules. They realise it just doesn't yield results. And that's when they usually turn to the dark side and come to me. The last one here is from 15th of September 2025. What is the status of the COI edit request? Has anything been done on this? Nothing further has happened, having rejected the premise for the opening paragraph. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so trying to play by the rules because they don't want to sort of look like they're cheating or misbehaving on Wikipedia, and just not really getting any. Let's have a look at another one, shall we? Who've got here? Arabella Advisor, for-profit consulting company that advises left-leaning donors and non-profits. It manages several dark money groups. Quite a lengthy Wikipedia page. It's got a lot of girth to it. What's this? Editing of Wikipedia page. In June 2020, Arabella came under scrutiny for hiring a paid editor to request edits to their Wikipedia page, with the edit request being reported by multiple news sources. If this is right, they've made a concerted effort to follow Wikipedia's rules on COI disclosure, and they've still got not just a telling off that's gone onto their Wikipedia page. Probably not the first time, it won't be the last time it happened. Wikipedia's volunteer editors, the editors that kind of patrol their little fiefdom, have chastised companies or consultants working for companies following Wikipedia's COI policy. It happens all the time. Volunteers aren't just going to like take time out of their day to implement those edit requests. As if. What we got here? This has been going on since 2020. Somebody from this company's office, it looks like, JJ from Arabella, made a bunch of edit requests here, asked if they can use the sources, and it's just gone on and on and on several years later. It doesn't look like any of these edit requests have been implemented. They've just gone back and forth and back and forth. Somebody here has got annoyed. This is a pretty typical response. A lot of Wikipedians are opposed to paid editing or disclose paid editing, and that's that, full stop. Just on principle, they do not want public relations firms or people working on behalf of companies on the encyclopedia, full stop. And they have been slapped down for following the rules. Not just, like lightly reprimanded, no. Like branded, but, giving them a proper ticking. They've got to put it on their Wikipedia page, try to follow the rules. It's It's, you know, and this is typical. See if I can have another, find another one. What's this one? Rugby school, Thailand. I didn't know they played rugby in Thailand. Okay. What's this? It's a private co-educational British international school in Bang Lamong district, Chonburi, Thailand. So it's the sister school of rugby school in the UK. I love it. I love it when these like private schools or like, you know, upscale universities or whatever try to edit their own Wikipedia pages or make these edit requests and get slapped down. Let's see if that's the case here. So what have we got here? Edit request. Replace article with sandbox draft. This edit request by so I am an employee of the rugby school Thailand. I am making this request in line with Wikipedia's paid contribution disclosure rule. Change requested. Please review and consider replacing the current article with a draft at Bob at Rugby School Thailand Sandbox. Let's have a little look. I mean, to be fair, at least they've tried to follow the Wiki Project Schools and Universities template. But what they've done wrong, it looks like, is they've used primary sources like their website, British Council of International Schools. Really, they should have used independent press, Bangkok Post. I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable source to use. Really, there's massive over-reliance on primary sources here. So if they'd gone ahead and implemented that, they'd end up getting tagged for primary sources. And it would just, when you use primary sources, this is kind of what you end up with. You just end up with a very sort of listy page, or just, you know, listy queries. Yeah, let's see how it went for them. It looks like they made the edit request on the 26th of August, but they've gotten a telling off for using a promotional tone. I quoted neutral point of view at them. Unless you've been doing encyclopedic writing for a number of years, it's actually pretty difficult to write in a neutral point of view. Usually when we're taught writing, we're taught a form of persuasive writing, whether that's creative writing or copywriting or whatever. Usually kind of taught to write by showing arguments, trying to bring people round to our point of view. So to then to write in a neutral point of view that isn't persuasive, it actually takes a lot of unlearning. This is what usually happens, you know, some know-it-all comes along and just quotes these policies back at the subject, and then they just go back and forth. Use your draft. The only media coverage of this school is this article, passing mention that is really about the opening of the rugby school Japan. Everything else is an accreditation page of some sort. That's what I said. Or your own website. With such limited sourcing, it's hard to make a case that the school is notable enough. Basically, I mean, it's a bit harsh, but it's kind of got a good point. Like, is this school even notable enough for a Wikipedia page? Is there even enough independent source? So, as you can see, they've just gone back and forth for months on end. They haven't got any results. No progress has been made. And really, they'd probably have had a better outcome if, you know, instead of drawing attention to themselves, they had just tried their best to expand the page with the few sources that they've got. But instead they've, you know, tried to follow Wikipedia's rules on COI, and they haven't had any luck. Really, I think the most they can expect to get maybe a Blue Peter badge pretty soon. You know, in life or in business, following the rules will only take you so far. If you want to get results, I recommend, you know, avoiding white hat editing. It's in their best interests for COI discussions to go on infinitely. It's no coincidence that white hat editing firms charge by the hour. So in these COI edit request conversations go back and forth, sometimes over a number of months, sometimes over a number of years. That obviously plays right into the hands of white hat editing firms. They're charging by the hour just like a lawyer would. So whether they get results for their clients or not, they're still laughing all the way to the bank. Much better off going to somebody like me who doesn't disclose a conflict of interest, does follow Wikipedia's content policies and guidelines, sourcing guidelines. You know, I follow all the manual of style, providing a neutral point of view. I know which sources you can use, which sources you can't use, what you can get away with, what you can't get away with. And whereas this white hat COI disclosure approach, you know, that might sometimes drag on for months or years, I can usually get my results from my clients in a much quicker time span. And I think that's just about all I have to say on the subject of COI disclosure. I might do another one. It's surprising sort of how much I've seen this proliferate over recently. I think what's been happening is people have been sort of going on ChatGPT and saying, how do I edit my Wikipedia page? And ChatGPT has been like, oh, you need to disclose your COI. You've got to follow this rule and this rule and this rule. And, you know, there's news for you. You know, LLMs, they may very well be good at, like, you know, giving you advice on how to unblock a toilet. But when it comes to advising you on one of the most complicated communities on the internet, you know, you really need somebody who has extensive experience on the epistemic coalface. I've been working on Wikipedia for 7.5 years as a paid editor, and another 10 years before that, right? So, you know, trust me, COI disclosure is a waste of time.